Welcome back to Trivia Cast. I'm your host Nikhil, and joining me this week is special guest Lindsey Kinsella. Lindsey is an author with a passion for paleontology and dinosaurs, so that's largely what this episode will revolve around. Make sure to check out the show notes for links to Lindsey Kinsella's social media, as well as a link to his book, The Lazarus Taxa. And one more note on today's format. So each time I ask Lindsey one of the trivia questions, I've inserted a 5-second pause where you can think about your answer before I roll the audio of Lindsey taking a guess. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So how's it going, Lindsey?
It's going great. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm here primarily as an author. I'm the author of the science fiction novel The Lazarus Taxa. And yeah, in terms of more general background, as you can tell from my absolute sort of mangling of the English language, I come from Scotland.
Hey, we took English from over on your side of the pond. You know, you guys had it first, so however you guys talk over there, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll accept that.
And you mentioned your book. So what's your book about?
So the book is a science fiction novel which effectively follows the first scientific expedition through time, and we follow what's effectively kind of clunky new bug-ridden technology as this expedition team go to the late Cretaceous. So we see a sort of up-to-date modern introduction to dinosaurs, and it's just kind of a lot of fun. There's a lot of mystery, there's kind of action. It's a good book. I think I'm allowed to say that? I'm allowed to say that. It's good.
I think as the creator of it, you're allowed to say that. You know, you're proud of the product you made.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get out there. Yeah, I did good. We'll see if everyone else agrees.
Awesome. Well, keeping on theme with your book there, I've got 3 rounds of trivia today. So the first one is Era Expedition. So that one's kind of looking at more of the science and history aspect of paleontology. Then our second one is Pop Paleontology, so that's more of the pop culture side of it. So TV shows, movies relating to dinosaurs and paleontology. And then for our last category, I did a bit of research on you and saw that you were into cars. So I got a round called Car Culture.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I like that. This is shaping up to be a good quiz.
I saw like an interview with you where you're like, oh yeah, I'm a petrol head. I love classic cars and things like that. And I was like, okay, we can fit that in.
Yeah, that's sort of my second passion in life.
Awesome. Well, we can go ahead and jump into our first round, the Era Expedition.
Excellent.
All right, so for this round, I'll give you either an era, a period, or a type of animal that we're trying to guess, and I'll give you 2 hints about it. Question number 1. This is a geologic era, and mammals, birds, and flowering plants became the dominant species on Earth, causing this era to be known as the Age of Mammals. And for the second hint, this era is subdivided into 3 periods and 7 epochs.
So that will be the Cenozoic?
Yeah, that's correct. The Cenozoic era, which is the current era that we're in.
That's the one, yeah. Sometimes you do get tripped up and forget which one's an era, which one's a period.
Yeah, there's the eon, then the era. I was researching this. The eon, the era, then the period, then the epoch. And I was like, wow, how do people keep this straight?
Yeah, that gets tricky sometimes. I think the later you get in the timeline, the smaller subdivisions we tend to talk about it in. So we tend to talk about sort of eons for the deep distant past, but then when we're talking about the Cenozoic, people normally break it down into the epochs, so it gets a bit muddled sometimes.
Yeah, nicely done. All right, for number 2, this is a geologic period, and during this period, dinosaurs experienced a major increase in diversity, becoming the dominant vertebrae in land-based ecosystems, and Pangaea broke apart into the supercontinents Laurasia and Gondwana.
There's an argument for Triassic, but I think to say that they became dominant, that would be the Jurassic period.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I saw that. They were starting to pop up in Triassic, but Jurassic was when they really flourished and became the dominant species.
Yeah, they were sort of around, and then there was a fairly major extinction event at the end of the Triassic, and the dinosaurs were sort of relatively unscathed by that, so they had a clean slate to then diversify from.
Awesome. Okay, well, you know your stuff here, so I'm wondering if you're going to get all 5 of these, but I'll keep going. All right, for question 3, this is another geologic period, and in this period, fish experienced a major increase in diversity, causing this period to be known as the Age of Fishes, and this period is named after a county in southwestern England where rocks dating back to this period were discovered.
Yes, I do know this one. Although, yeah, that's the Devonian.
Yeah, that's correct.
Also when vertebrates first made it onto land, I do believe.
Okay, nice.
That's a fun time. There's some really cool sort of giant armored fish fossils from the Devonian, which are just insane.
Yeah, I was looking at the last couple of days making these questions. I was seeing so many of the fossils and the images of what the animals like could have looked like. It was crazy compared to the stuff we have today.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. The Devonian sort of flies under the radar. A lot of people don't know about a lot of the animals around there, but they're cool. I like them.
All right, for number 4, we're looking at a genus of dinosaur for this one. So this genus first appeared in the late Cretaceous period and was wiped out in the KT extinction event. And it was a large herbivore that reached 8 to 9 meters in length and is the official state dinosaur of Wyoming.
Oh, 8 to 9 meters in length. This is sort of a guess. Ankylosaurus?
No, it was actually the Triceratops.
But
I didn't realize they appeared so late in the geologic timescale. I mean, they were only around for a bit before the extinction event.
yeah, I think that's sort of one of the interesting things once you delve into it more, is you realise that. I think one of the little interesting facts that puts it into perspective is that if you were to be around in the Cretaceous, if you went looking, you would still find dinosaur fossils because they'd already been around for 100 million years.
Yeah, it's crazy. We just look at it like a little timeline on a piece of paper, but it's actually so much more than we can comprehend how long that time period was.
Yeah, it's our brains aren't really wired to really comprehend what a million actually means.
Yeah, we think in the thousands of years. We don't think in the millions of years.
Yeah, I can't remember the figures off my head, but if you sort of scale it down into like a kind of 24-hour period, and you find that human history only occurs in like the last second of that day, that sort of puts a little bit of perspective on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, and our 5th and final question for this category. So this one is a class of animal, and this class developed and flourished during the Carboniferous period, causing that period to be nicknamed the Age of Blank, and it included tetrapods with weak limbs and scaly skin. So this one's a broad class.
This would be reptiles?
No, that was actually amphibians.
Oh, with scaly skin? No.
Yeah, so the ones that made it onto the land actually grew scaly skin when they became adults.
Do you know, I didn't actually know that. That's really interesting.
But yeah, so the Carboniferous is the Age of Amphibians, which I learned. So it was kind of cool seeing all these different Age of Fish, Age of Mammals, Age of Amphibians, kind of learning when all those periods were.
Yeah, that's cool. The Carboniferous is also interesting for having just ridiculously huge, I don't know what the technical term is, but I think it's okay to just say bugs, which we're not really sure. We're not entirely sure why. I think the leading theory is that there was so much more oxygen in the atmosphere during the Carboniferous that their breathing methods were a bit more efficient, and yeah, they were like millipedes the length of a car just roaming about.
Wow, that's very scary. I mean, even like the megalodon and all the animals that have giant ancestors, just seeing any of those in person would be quite the experience.
Maybe from a distance.
Yeah, maybe from quite a distance, then it would be all right. All right, so well done on that one. I think you got 3 out of 5 of those, but yeah, well done on that.
Yeah, those were harder than I expected. That was good job.
I was like, yeah, he's an expert. He has a book out. I got to really dig deep and keep these challenging. So
yes, I need to kick on. I need to do it better in the next round. I think my reputation hangs on this now.
Hopefully, you studied up on your paleontology pop culture. All right, so for our second round is pop paleontology. So that's dinosaur and paleontology related TV, movies, and other pop culture questions. So we can go ahead and jump into it.
Okay.
So our first question, What animated TV show featured a family with the pet Snorkosaurus, which is a fictional dinosaur based on the prosauropod?
Could that be the Flintstones?
Yeah, that's correct. So Dino, their pet, was a Snorkosaurus.
I didn't. I remember watching it when I was very young, and I didn't realize that Dino had a species name associated with it.
Yeah, I was too young when I watched Flintstones to remember hearing the species name, but I discovered it researching, and I was like, all right, we can use that.
That's cool. I like that they did that. Like, it wasn't just generic. They gave it a name. That's cool.
Yeah. All right, for number 2, what American paleontologist served as the technical advisor for the first 5 Jurassic Park films and served as inspiration for the character Dr. Alan Grant?
So I think I know when Michael Crichton wrote the book, I'm pretty sure Bob Backer was the main inspiration for Alan Grant, but I think Jack Horner was the technical advisor on the movies, so maybe I'm going to go Jack Horner on that one.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it was Jack Horner. So yeah, he was partial inspiration for Dr. Alan Grant is what I saw. And he was the technical advisor on those first 5 films. Yeah,
it's a little bit because I think in the very, very early phases, I think Backer was also consulted on it.
Okay.
But yeah, Horner was quite heavily involved in the movies.
Yeah, it was interesting learning about him, and he's from Montana, I believe. Was a bit of an outcast in the community at one point, it seemed like.
Yeah, Horner's always had quite sort of radical ideas. And they've sort of, in fairness, a lot of them have come round. A lot of them have eventually gained consensus. Many of them haven't. Many of them have been binned. But I think you need that sort of thinking in the community sometimes. You need someone who pushes the envelope and thinks outside the box. And a lot of the time, it doesn't work out. But when it does, that's when you sort of progress your thinking. So, yeah, I quite...
Yeah.
He's a divisive figure, but I quite like Jack Horner.
Yeah, you kind of need that in every field. People who maybe during their life or their theories are kind of ridiculed, but then later on it's like, oh, they had a point.
Yeah, I think so. And he's not afraid to make some bold hypotheses.
Right. All right, cool. So for number 3, FMNH PR 2081, better known as Sue, was discovered in 1990 and is one of the most complete and well-preserved specimens ever found of what species?
Sue is a T-Rex?
Yep, that's correct. So I think it was over 90% intact, the skeleton that they have of that, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's I think that's something that a lot of people perhaps don't realise, is that the vast majority of dinosaur species or extinct animal species in general that we have, we actually only know from fragments of bone. Sometimes we don't even have whole bones. So to have 90% of a skeleton, particularly of an animal that big, it's really quite amazing. And then when you consider that other T-Rex fossils are also remarkably complete, we have an amazingly good fossil record of Tyrannosaurus. It's quite remarkable when you consider that some animals, there are giant sauropods that we know from like a toe bone.
Yeah, fortunate that people actually decided to preserve them too when they were found and put them in museums and things like that too.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, for question number 4, what 19th century biologist and paleontologist from the UK is credited with coining the word dinosauria?
Oh, that was Richard Owen.
That is correct. Yeah, Richard Owen.
Yeah, another sort of divisive figure, but he was a very important guy, and I think he also founded the Natural History Museum in London.
Yeah, he did. I remember reading that as well when I was learning about him.
Yeah, which I was fortunate enough to visit a few years ago. Really cool place. Really cool place. Took the kids round and they were somehow bored, but I loved it. Had a great time.
They'll appreciate it later on in life.
I think so, yeah.
All right, and for our 5th question, what American sitcom began airing in 1994 and featured a lead character who worked as a paleontologist?
Oh, Friends.
Yeah, correct, Friends. Ross, of course, being the paleontologist.
I expected the sitcom to be Dinosaurs there for a moment. I don't know if anyone remembers that show now. I think that was sort of later than that. That was maybe early 90s.
Okay, yeah.
We were watching that as a kid.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched that one. Is that American, that show?
I do believe it is, yeah. I think it was. I have to say, I watched it recently. It came on, I think it was Netflix or something, and I sat the kids down to watch it. I was like, I loved this show as a kid, and it has not aged well.
Yeah, I find that to be the case with a lot of sitcoms from the 90s and early 2000s.
Really disappointing when that happens.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I've got great memories of the show, and then you try to watch a few episodes, and it is not aged well.
Yeah, I'm like, I remember this show being funny. Why is it not?
Why is it so offensive?
To be fair, it was a sort of kids sitcom, so it wasn't particularly offensive.
Okay.
It just kind of dull, which surprised me. I remember loving this show.
All right, well, you got 5 out of 5 on that one, actually, so well done on that. You know your pop paleontology quite well.
That just shows I watch too much TV, I think.
Yeah, I thought bringing in the specific paleontologists or the TV shows, might trip you up there, but well done on those.
I almost did. It took me a moment, that one.
Cool, well, we're going to shift gears here for round number 3, which is car culture. So this round will be a bit about classic cars, but also just the culture around modern cars in general. So kind of going all around the automobile landscape.
Kids, yeah, I'm excited for this one.
All right.
I mean, I've been excited for them all, but
yeah, this one is
no, absolutely. This sounds fun.
All right, so for number 1, the 10 most recent Formula One World Drivers' Champions represent only 3 different countries. Name 2 of the 3 countries.
The UK and the Netherlands.
That's correct. Do you want to go for the third one?
The third is Germany.
Yep, that's right.
And that is Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, that's correct. You've got your F1 history down. I saw in the interview I was looking at, you were talking about racing being one of your dreams or your potential, something you get into in the future.
Yeah, it's sadly very, very expensive.
yeah, I can imagine.
So anyone listening, buy my book, and then I can buy a race car. Thank you.
Help this man out. Let's help him reach his dream. Dinosaurs was just a side hobby. All right, for question number 2. In what film franchise does the lead character drive a signature 1970 Dodge Charger RT?
That'll be the Fast and Furious, won't it?
Yep, that's correct. That's one of Dom's
black Charger.
Yep, his black Charger, one of Dom's signature cars there. Are you a fan of the movies?
I'm a big fan of the sort of early movies. I love the first 2, and I love Tokyo Drift. And then I sort of accept that everything that came after that is a steaming dumpster fire, but I still go and see every new one anyway.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
It's more entertainment at this point. It's like comedy entertainment.
People like me are the reason why they keep making those movies. I recognise that they're terrible, but I go see them anyway.
I mean, they're driving up into space. What are we supposed to do now? I mean, what's going on?
I don't know where we're going to go with the next one. It's getting preposterous.
Oh yeah, we're only a couple of weeks out from it now. I think it comes out in May sometime.
Yeah. A movie franchise should honestly never reach 10.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. All right, for question number 3, what size scale is used for a typical Hot Wheels basic die-cast car?
Oh, that's a tough one. I want to say 1 to. Oh, is it 1 to 64?
That's correct. Yeah, 1/64th scale.
Oh, that was a hard one.
I was pulling real deep in your knowledge there on the car culture, but yeah, well done. Do you collect anything like that? Any of the die-casts?
I don't personally, but between both my son and my daughter, they have an enormous selection of Hot Wheels cars.
Okay.
Which I'm quite jealous of, actually. They'll grow out of them one day and then I'll steal them.
It's kind of reverse. Usually the parents are passing down the collection to the kids, but
I'll be really disappointed if they don't grow out of them and they keep them. I'm like, oh.
They start going to the conventions and everything. All right, for question number 4, What car model, first introduced in 1966, was the worldwide best-selling car model in 2022?
Best-selling car model in 2022. Oh, just to clarify, are we drawing a distinction between cars and pickup trucks?
Yes, but again, this is worldwide, not just in the US.
Okay, because I know for a long time the Ford F-150 was the best-selling car in the world, even though it wasn't sold outside of America.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and it was introduced in 66. What was introduced in 66? God.
That's all right. You've been doing too well for the last 8 questions, so I had to. We have to get one in here.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's something Japanese. I'm gonna say it's a. Was it a Corolla in 66?
It was. It's a Toyota Corolla.
Is it a Toyota Corolla?
It is.
Oh, that was a hard one.
You knew it all along.
I wasn't convinced that they had released it that early, but
I believe it sold 1.1 million units, and then the RAV4 was next with about 900,000.
that's insane because those are both terrible cars.
Oh man.
Who's buying these?
Well, they are affordable, at least for most of the world, so that's a plus for them. But
That is true.
all right, and for question number 5, on May 5th, 2022, a vehicle by what European car manufacturer broke the previous auction record when it was sold for $142 million in a private auction?
In 2022, I feel like the obvious answer is Ferrari, but I can't think of the specific. There was a 250 GTO not that long ago that went for silly money. I'm going to say Ferrari. I'm not entirely convinced, but that's my answer.
It was actually a Mercedes.
Was it? Do you know which one?
Yeah, I noted it down. The Mercedes 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe.
Oh, was it the Gullwing?
That I don't know. I think they had only made 2 of them, and Mercedes directly sold one of them in private auction, and it was 142 million was the final price.
Oh wow, that's insane. That's yeah, I'll not be buying one of those anytime soon.
Yeah, that's you're gonna have to sell a lot more books for that one, probably, right?
Yeah, they've freaked me out just a little.
Well, that's gonna conclude our 3rd round, but yeah, well done overall. I think you got maybe 85% of those questions overall, so really well done.
Yeah, that was great fun. That was good. A couple of lucky guesses in there, I think. I didn't really know the Corolla answer, but
Well, you got a little bit of background knowledge to inform your guess, so that's educated guess. That's what we call it. So yeah, where can people find more of you and learn more about your book?
Yeah, so in terms of just sort of keeping in touch with people, I predominantly use Facebook, and my Facebook page is just Lindsey Kinsella, author. And yeah, if you want to check out the Lazarus Taxa, it's available pretty much wherever you normally buy your books from, sort of online. So you can get it on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, all those good places. And yeah, check it out. I think most of those places you can download free samples of the ebook as well, so you can sort of check it out before committing to buying it. So yeah, have a look.
Awesome. And then what's coming up for you? What's next? Are you working on another book at this point?
Yes, I have another book which is with my editor just now, which hopefully means that within maybe a couple of months it'll be released too. I've stuck with a dinosaur theme on this one, but it's more of a kind of child-friendly type thing. It's a sort of young adult fantasy novel which explores this sort of prehistoric world within a young girl's subconscious. Effectively, when I started out writing the Lazarus Taxa, I thought this would be a really good book to bring to kids, and I kind of had my kids in mind, they can learn about dinosaurs. And then what I did is I wrote a really gritty, violent novel that wasn't suitable for them, so I'm trying to rectify that with this book.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'll have to keep tabs and see when that comes out. But I'll go ahead and link to your current book, The Lazarus Taxa, down in the show notes for anyone who wants to take a look on Amazon.
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you very much.
And yeah, thank you again for coming on. It's been really great having you. You did well in Dinosaurs and Cars, so you got your your expansive knowledge on the topic. So well done.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. This was really good fun. I like the setup. I like the concept. I feel like I want 100% score.
Awesome. I'll have to see how we can tweak these categories a bit and branch out further, from these topics. I think we could maybe do something fun with that in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of fun to be had there.
That is going to conclude this week's episode of Trivia Cast. Thank you again to Lindsey for coming on. You can find a link to his book, The Lazarus Taxa, in the show notes, as well as links to his social media. And as always, you can find us at TriviaCastPod on all of your favorite social media. If you're enjoying TriviaCast, make sure to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And I hope you learned something new from this episode. But that's all I had, so I will see you next week.